Hello people, and welcome to my new office. As I mentioned in my 25 Dresses About Me video, I recently got a promotion and this is my new backdrop. I'll give you a sneak peek of the whole office right now. Ooh. If you like what you saw and would like a more in-depth tour, I might get around to doing that if you let me know in the comments below. That's not what you're here for. I'm finally getting around to telling you about my 30-day reading challenge experience. The reading challenge ended on July 16th, 2013. First, I would like to reiterate my original goals for the challenge. I wanted to read an average of 150 pages a day with a total of 4,500 pages in the span of the 30 days. I did not reach those goals. I feel like this challenge was an overall success, regardless of my failure. My smartphone had an app that conveniently helped me keep track of all of the pages that I had read during the 30 days, but my smartphone is now longer with us, so these numbers might be slightly off. But we're just gonna go with it. The first book I read for the 30-day challenge was Geek Girl by Holly Smale. Smale. Anyway, Geek Girl by Holly Smale had 378 pages. I got this book at the beginning of the challenge and I read it immediately. It put me quite ahead in page count because it was such a lovely, fast-paced book. I think it is marketed as a young adult book. I feel like it was definitely a middle grade book, but it was very good. The characters and the voices were all wonderful and the storyline was fast-paced and interesting. I tweeted Holly after I finished the book. It's the first book in a little while that I'm actually excited to read the sequel. So I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I read in its entirety was Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McBride with 384 pages. This book was the viewer's choice for the month of June. I promise I have not forgotten about that review. I just haven't gotten around to writing a script that I like yet, but I will tell you that overall I liked it. It had a few flaws, but I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I read was a little book called The Fault in Our Stars by John Green with 318 pages. This was a reread for me, of course. The love for this book has not changed. It still made me feel all of the feelings that I felt when I first read it, so the rating stays the same, 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I read in its entirety was Summer Crossing by Truman Capote with 142 pages. I got this beautiful orange penguin edition from my lovely friend Jossie. Thank you, Jossie. It felt quite unfinished, parts of it that didn't flow right and didn't feel completely put together. But I just lumped that up to the fact that Truman Capote probably never meant for it to be published. It was published posthumously, like I think in 2005, and it was chronologically the first novel that he ever wrote. I gave it 3 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. It was at this point in the challenge that I started to fall behind in my page counts, so I decided to pick up some graphic novels, specifically the Scott Pilgrim graphic novels, because I started the series about a year ago and for some reason just never finished it. I had read the first 3, so I started on the 4th, Scott Pilgrim Gets Together by Brian O'Malley, which had 205 pages. This one really captured the fun and the true essence and charm of the Scott Pilgrim series for me, so I gave it 5 stars out of 5. Then on the recommendation of a dear friend, I read Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine, which had 240 pages. I thought this book was very cute and very sweet, and I didn't realize that it was kind of a retelling of Cinderella, but I really liked that aspect of it, and I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. Then I finally completed the Scott Pilgrim series with the 5th installment, which is Scott Pilgrim vs. the Universe with 179 pages, and installment number 6, which is Scott Pilgrim's Finest Hour with 245 pages. Both of these were really fun and really great. They didn't quite live up to the charm of a couple of the other ones in the series, but they were still really awesome, so I gave them 4 stars out of 5. Then I finished a nonfiction book called Pain, Parties, Work, Sylvia Plath in the Summer of 1953 by Elizabeth Wonder, which had 288 pages. I picked this book up off of the recommendation from Jason over at the Heavy Blanks. I kind of read it slowly, and it also kind of read like a term paper, but in a positive way because of the way that she separated information in each chapter. But I thought that it was a really brilliant way to present an aspect of someone's life, especially since the way that she is usually portrayed is completely different than the way that she was in that summer of 1953. I really loved this, and I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. I picked up a little gem of a book. It was Neil Gaiman's Make Good Art speech. It had 80 pages. I mean, there's not really anything I can say about this. You should go and try to find a copy of it if you can't get a copy of the book. I'm sure this speech is somewhere online. If I find a link, I'll put it in the description below. The design of the book is very nice, even though the colors are really bright and kind of vibrate. It's It was really enjoyable, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5. And the last book that I read in its entirety was Jellicoe Road by Melina Marchetta, and it had 419 pages. I think this book is great for anybody who loves like boarding school settings, kind of a mystery with these different perspectives set in different times, but they are all somehow interconnected, and you have to read the book to find out how. I really liked it, and I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. Somewhere along the way, Marissa Meyer, the author of the Lunar Chronicles, released a sneak peek, the first chapter of the next book in the installment, which is Cress, and I downloaded and read that, and it was 13 pages. It was a delicious tease. I can't read it because I haven't read the whole book, but I'm counting those 13 pages. And at the end of the challenge, I started reading The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, which I'm still reading, but by the time that the challenge ended, I had read 40 pages, which brings the total for my 30-day reading challenge to 2,644 pages. Not too shabby. But what's even more impressive and super awesome is that I read 11 books in 30 days. Very glad that I participated. Being said, I don't know if I will participate in another reading challenge or read-a-thon anytime soon. At the end of the whole 2 that I've participated in, I kind of don't want to read for a while afterwards, which is usually okay, but I like to have kind of a regular desire to read, and I feel like those kind of numb it down a little bit. So I'm gonna take a break from some read-a-thons for a while, I think, but who knows, I might change my mind. But overall, it was a really great experience, and I'm very thankful that Rakita had this great idea and shared it with us all. I'm just gonna put this out there. This might end up being my July wrap-up because it is pretty close to the end of the month, and I don't know if I'll finish anything, but if I do, I will upload another video, or maybe you'll get some book reviews. I think that's going to be all for this video. If you have any video suggestions, I would really love to hear them in the comments below. As I mentioned earlier, I am currently reading The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. What are you reading?